Thank you so much for joining me, Chanel. Everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. This is Folk and Palate Live. I'm Tinja Young. Tonight, I have Chanel West. She is tuning in from Chicago. She is the founder of Isaac's Angels, and we are about to dive into her amazing story and journey that will just continue for years to come.
Thank you
How you
so
doing
much for
today?
having me.
Of course, of course. We've spoken many times about your journey, how food plays a role, how it played a role in your life, and all of these different things. So we're just going to dive right in. And I want to start. The first thing I'm going to mention, I remember the first time we talked, you said that you were
Hmm.
a natural born risk taker. I
Yes.
remember that. And that was one of the first things that you told me. And that's why it stuck out to me. And as you started to just, share your story, share your journey, I began to see that. So everyone just get ready for this ride
Thank
with Chanel
you.
West, this natural born risk taker deemed by
Thank
her own self.
you.
So let's just start chatting. So we're going to talk about like your relationship with food. And I know that at home where you grew up, food was one way, right? Food was one thing when you grew up. And then when you went
Yeah.
to college, it was a little
Mhm.
bit different. So let's tell me
Yeah.
about that.
So that's a great question. So I actually grew up in a single parent household on the south side of Chicago. So food was, we had a little bit of government assistance here and there. She could, but food was scarce at times. There are moments where like my mom didn't know like the next food or we could get like a quality meal. And of course, like when you have four kids, foods that you can just make in large quantities that will
Mm-hmm.
actually families and may or may not be the healthiest. So my mom, I love her to death. She has my little brother who's now 14, a sophomore in high school. And
Mm-hmm.
he's organic and keto and vegan. And I'm like, oh, y'all fancy. But back when I was, his age, it was more so like processed food, a lot of sugar and preservatives. And that was what we could afford.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to college undergrad. I went to the University of Illinois at Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and we had the abundance of food. So I had to learn the hard way to balance, what I liked, which is a lot of like processed foods, a lot of fried foods, with healthier options. So I gave the freshman 15, which turns the freshman 30, then the 40. And then slowly as I became a little older and wiser, I made healthier options. So
Right.
that was my thing with food growing up. And college transformed me to learn how to be healthier, eat in moderation, and
Mm-hmm.
not just be a glutton all the
Right. Right. So
time.
what after college you decided to teach ESL? You wanted to teach English around the world. What
Yeah.
what brought that about?
That's an excellent question as well. I always say that teaching found me. If you would have told me when I was fresh in school that I would become a teacher, I would say, "What are you talking about? I don't even like kids like that." But I actually offered a summer position as a regular, which is where you go on the campuses in the summer, you
Mm-hmm.
meet high schoolers, or like incoming college freshmen, adjust to college life. So I had with UCLA, Berkeley, USC, and quite a few other schools, but mainly on the West.
Right.
And I fell in love with the idea of connecting with the kids. And then I was also promoted to do teaching, like a TA assistant job,
Got it. Yeah.
making a team curriculum. And I kind of just like reinforced what their professors were teaching them
Mm-hmm.
outside of school hours. So I fell in love with that. And my bachelor is in political science. I want to be a lawyer, a tax lawyer at that. And I found myself loving that. I applied to law school. I went for it one day. Sorry, my eye is just really bothering me. Oh my god!
It's okay.
Like I'm over here twitching. But went to law school for one day,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't like it. It didn't really feel like me. I didn't feel
Right.
like my cup was being filled. I wanted to help the kids that look like me from the hood like me. I didn't feel like a tax load was going to go.
Right.
So I said, hey, if you speak English, which you do, you're a native, try ESL overseas. That's the easiest way to get your foot in the door
Mm-hmm.
as an educator. And I was like, okay, I love teaching experience in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go and do it. And I haven't looked back.
So, what about your experiences? Because you've had many. I mean, you've taught everywhere from Southeast Asia, China, Latin America. I
Yes.
think you even went to France, possibly. So, tell me, one interesting thing that you did say. You said, Tinja, I know that there are so many misconceptions about us as Black people, especially traveling to the areas of the world where you went. And you kind of felt like you were like an ambassador, like trying to break down those stigmas and break down the stereotypes that other people from various places have about us. What was that experience like?
Absolutely. And I 100% still feel that way. I predominantly taught ESL in Southeast Asia and in China. I did do a stint in Europe as well as in Latin America.
Mhm.
That especially they are not exposed to a more, diverse
Mhm.
culture like America. America's more like a salad. I hate saying we're a melting pot, but that means we're all put together. No, we're a salad.
Mhm.
And I used to feel like Asia was a salad. Asia was one course, one flavor. That was it. If you were anything else spicy or not what they wanted, you were fine. I literally had students come up to me trying to rub my skin and say, "Does this come off?"
Mhm. Mhm.
What?
Mhm.
I had my teaching assistant say that my hair was like pubic hair. And I was just sitting in the back, like, wait, what? What? And back when I was younger, like early 20s, that really would have offended me.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna lie, my first stint overseas when I was 21, 22,
Mhm.
I didn't hear the break. So I may have reacted in a way that I now, as a mature adult, almost in her.